Welcome to the Built to Win podcast, show about entrepreneurs, their processes, their procedures, and how they turn their dreams into reality. Today we have accomplished attorney, civic leader, and just an amazing guy, Sam Yebri.
Hey Brian, it's good to be with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you. So what I really wanted to start, like I do most of the shows, is asking, I know where you are now, but where did it all start?
Yeah.
So where does your journey begin?
So a long, far away place. So I was born in Iran. My family and I moved to Los Angeles when I was a year old. And like refugees, we kind of worked really hard to live the American dream from public schools here in LA, ultimately went to Yale undergrad and got that kind of taste to do something big in life. Came back, started a law firm. I've been on the board of numerous nonprofits, and I've always tried to repay that debt that I owe this great city. And I think a lot of us had that desire to do something big in the city and to make a difference. And now I'm a dad, which is the biggest thing, right? In all of our lives, we were talking about that pre-show. I have 4 little kids, and I want them to live in a city that's as amazing as it was when it welcomed my family. And I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us to do that.
I love it. I love it. So let's really dig in a little bit. Your family came from Iran. So what did your parents, what did they do when they came here?
Yeah, so they were students. They worked their butts off, eventually became dentists. So I'm blessed that they were able to succeed, but I saw them work really hard. They were working long hours, and as a result, kind of developed that work ethic, is that nothing's going to be handed to us, and you got to work really hard. Education's important, family's important, and and giving back and gratitude, right? I learned from them that they were doing whatever they could in the community, free dental work for people who couldn't afford it, trying to volunteer, and it certainly rubbed off on me. And whenever I had the first opportunity to give back, I took advantage of it.
Okay, I love it, man. One of the what I say is blessings that I had was meeting 2 of my best friends, Pasha and Ryan, at college at Purdue. 2 Persian guys, and I remember meeting Ryan the first time, and he said he was Persian, and I was like, there is no Persia, I'm Ottoman.
Where's that on the map? Show me. You can't find it on the globe. Exactly.
I was like, there is no Persia. But meeting them and then getting to meet their families and seeing how much you all value not only family, but value your culture and keeping the cultural ties like really, really strong. But besides that, one thing I always told those guys is Persians create a sense in their kids of you can do anything. Like the world is yours. Whatever you want to do, you can have. And that's one of the things that we talk about here is mindset and understanding that we create whatever future that we want to have.
For sure. I grew up hearing stories of what it was like to leave Iran, start over in a new country, fleeing war, revolution, persecution. And so when you come to the United States and have the opportunity to not only build something new, but to be who you are, live freely, it's a blessing, right? And not to take advantage of it fully would be a shame, right? So yeah, we were told from early age, like, aim for the stars, don't take no for an answer, work your butt off, and build, and do something big. And yeah, I think that's why the sense of entrepreneurship is so important to a lot of immigrant communities, is that you see it and it's passed from generation to generation. And I think that's one of the reasons why America's been so incredible, is that it's been able to regenerate as new waves of immigrants have come to the United States, especially Los Angeles. In this city, there are more communities where the largest diaspora outside of the home country is in Los Angeles or anywhere else in the United States. So you see it, you feel it, the food, the music, the flavor of the city. It's something to celebrate. And there's economic benefits you see and feel it as well.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So one of the things that you said as you're going through that, you went to public school. Where exactly did you grow up in LA?
Yeah, I grew up on the West Side. Grew up in Westwood, where I still live. There's nothing like kind of staying where near your own hood. We were talking about one of our favorite restaurants, Soon In. What's up, George? Out on Westwood Boulevard. So in my mind, there's nothing like the kind of the culture of Westwood. It's between UCLA and all the different communities that are represented. I didn't want to move away, so I moved a couple blocks where I was raised, and I still walk to some of the same places that I did as a kid. It's incredible.
I love it. I love it. The other thing that you talked about is going to public school and then going to Yale. I've had the privilege of meeting Ivy League people, and they tell me kind of what that experience is. Coming from immigrant parents, going to public school in LA, what was that like when you got to Yale?
Man, so this was 1999, and like just same experience you had meeting Ryan and Pasha and others. People didn't know what I was. My last name kind of sounds Italian. My skin is not, it's kind of dark. What exactly am I? I was able to take advantage of that in some conversations, right? And but educating people about someone who's born in Iran, happened to be Jewish, live in LA. There's a big community of us, but also my roommates, the six of us. There was a Native American guy from Lakota Nation, South Dakota. Yeah. Got a Brazilian guy Sam moved to New York. Kind of evangelical Christian from Minnesota. Guy from Colorado. Me, and then kind of a traditional New Yorker. So we all living together that first year was an incredible experience. A lot of backgrounds that we were exploring and learning. And then being at Yale during 9/11, during Bush v. Gore, it's an intense time. And you couldn't help just want to kind of learn, and everything from there. The sweatshop. There was a no sweatshop movement, where there's kind of my first flavor of kind of protesting on behalf of people who were folks who were members of a union. The Iraq War protests. Yeah, so you just get politically engaged. It was an exciting time. A lot of debates on campus, and it definitely expanded my horizon, my thinking. And I went from being I was going to be pre-med. I was going to be that sort of doctor, follow my parents' footsteps, and decided to want to pursue law and really finding a passion for public service and politics as well.
I love it. So, as you make that transition in your thought process to go from medicine to law, what was kind of your decision tree? Where did you go exactly from there? How did you get to, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to take the LSATs, and this is where I'm at.
Right. So as a 21-year-old kid, you aren't doing the game theory, the analysis, right? Yes. You kind of follow your heart. I thought waking up one morning, going up to organic chemistry around the same time as 9/11, Bush v. Gore, that's not what my heart was in. I wanted to understand what was going on in the world, and reading articles and hearing leaders talk about foreign policy and history, and I started gravitating to those classes instead. And I ultimately had to break it to my dad. I took him out to Chinese food, and we had a conversation about, Dad, I just don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a dentist. And my passion is history and law and political science. And those are the classes that economics, philosophy. Those are the classes that I was really enjoying. And he got it. I think he liked what he did, but it wasn't his passion, right? So he appreciated that was something that was motivating me. And going back to the point, he came here, worked his butt off so that his kids can have opportunities and make choices for themselves. And I appreciate that he supported that decision. And now as a dad, and I started thinking about, my wife and I are talking about our kids and the choices they make. Kind of, there's that right balance to be struck about helping them make those decisions, but also letting them fly,
exactly,
experience, and that's the best teacher's experience in life.
Agreed wholeheartedly. So from Yale, where did you go, and what was the decision in going to that law school?
For me, I came back to LA, went to USC for law school, so fight on. It was never a real question whether I got into law school elsewhere, but LA is my home. I knew it was my home forever, and I wanted to come back and put down my roots, and so that was a kind of strategic, thoughtful decision on my part, is to come back to the city that I love, and when I got to law school, as much as I want to do well in school, I realized everyone in my class is a future friend, colleague for business, partner in some initiatives. So spend as much time outside of the classroom, kind of building friendships and relationships that I did, in the library, in the classroom. And some of those folks are members of Congress from my law school class, people who've started companies, CEOs, tech folks, obviously a lot of folks who are lawyers, and folks who are becoming judges as well. So
That's awesome.
that's one piece of advice, is to, along the path, every person you meet is a potential, CEO, partner in something, and every conversation could be the beginning of something really special. So
I know. Imagine if you would have gone to, like, I have to say this, I mean, we're a slick. If you would have gone to a great law school like UCLA.
I grew up on the UCLA campus, and remember watching Barron. Yeah, so I love the Bruins, and I still go jogging at Drake, take my kids to games at Poly Pavilion. So I got much love for UCLA.
There you go. So let's get into your entrepreneurial journey. So you go to SC, you graduate. What is the decision tree? Because again, we talk about these things as a lot of times you kind of fall into things.
Yeah.
But it seemed like you had a plan.
Yeah. So if you go to law school, the idea of going to a big law firm, if you get that opportunity, is sort of something that everyone aims for, just because the pay day one is good and it's prestigious. I went that route, but I realized it's not where I wanted to be. It's a miserable experience, but long term, the upside is pretty capped, right? And no one wants to be an employee his or her entire life. So I started thinking about what would be next for me, and I always wanted to have my own business, my own law firm, so that I can take on the cases that I wanted to, but also do what I want to do outside the contours of the firm, and have control over my life, right? Because to be able to control your time is the biggest blessing, right? To be able to control the decisions in your life, and you can't always do that when you're working for someone else. So,
and I'm going to pause you 1 second, because you said no one wants to be an employee. So again, I'm going to generalize. Sometimes it's negative. This time it's positive. I've been in LA now for 20 years. I would say none of my Persian friends want to be employees. And a lot of them are unemployable. They have to be entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And so I think that's one of the things that you all foster as well, is understanding that when you are an employee, that you are trading your time for money. And so your opportunity is capped, as what you said. Right. And so again, I always talk about access to information.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the information is passed on without you guys even knowing that they're setting you up for your future being great.
You're obviously the security of being an employee, and the benefits, and stress levels are different, right? So there are certainly some benefits. And as a lawyer who's had clients who started businesses, the grass is always greener, right? When you see the person who can create something that generates passive income, right? Or that creates opportunities for others, something that could be passed down generationally, right? And being able to build something, right? That there's some benefits, and that's appealing. It's not easy, and but if you think of your life path as a journey, right? And that's where I wanted my journey to be, is to be able to build something, put my name on the wall, put my name on my business card, right? That was appealing and exciting to me. Hire people, and then pitch myself as the law firm, and ultimately doing that allowed me to do things in the community where I wanted to employ my time, my capital, my expertise with nonprofit work, and that's something that I was able to do as a young lawyer with his own law firm. I had the freedom to do that, and I think it helped. It helped build my law firm as well. There's some real benefits when you're out there doing something good. You build those relationships, and it's and then you meet people and build those relationships that will serve you for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's and you open it up again to something that not a lot of people have, as we talk about information. It's a universal law. The more you give, the more you receive. And a lot of people live in a place of scarcity, and they're trying to get, they're trying to take, they're trying to let me see who this person is, if I can get something from them.
Yeah.
But it's a universal law. I can't explain it because it just happens. But I believe that when you know that the more people that I help with nothing looking for any return,
Right.
the more good will just happen.
Yeah.
And the more lucky you'll become.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something big, right? You connect someone who's looking for some advice or for some help. You mentor someone who is younger than you and just needs some guidance. It comes back with huge benefits down the line. And I remember when I first started doing pro bono legal work for folks, for tenants, folks with disabilities, helping people with special needs, with conservatorships, putting a lot of time in. But it was extremely rewarding and meaningful, right? When I did some asylum work representing people who were here, who were refugees, paying it forward. And I had friends who are out there making money and saying, why are you spending your time doing stuff for free? And I was like, I'm getting way more out of this than I could be making money. And you never know how it comes back. And there's people who've come back in my life from some of those things that I did early on to help others, and it's incredibly rewarding. So someone gave me a good piece of advice. If it's for a good cause, just say yes.
Yes.
Right? And it's harder later in life because especially if it's a time commitment. But if it's a little bit of your time, a little bit of your money, a little bit of your skills, if it's for a good cause, you believe in it, just say yes, and you'll know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, I love it. So with your nonprofit, what exactly are you guys doing? What is the focus? Because I apologize, I didn't have enough time to look into that.
So I'm on a few different nonprofit boards. I'm on the board of an organization called Betzetic Legal Services, which provides free legal services for low-income Angelenos of all backgrounds in all different types of laws. Right now, landlord-tenant is huge, employment law, but also small business owners, especially people of color and immigrants, people with special needs and disabilities, get access to lawyers for free, because it is incredibly important right now to be able to have someone who can help you with all types of crises in your life. I'm also the board chair of an organization called EDA, which builds housing for adults with special needs. Not too far from here on Pico, in the Pico-Robertson area, we're building 64 units of housing for adults with special needs, ground floor retail where folks with special needs can work, and these are subsidized housing. There's nothing like it anywhere in Los Angeles, in California, in the country, really. And we're hoping this could be a replicable model for housing for folks with disabilities. It is a massively underserved community. I'm also involved with our local library in Westwood. We've had a lot of issues. Before it was about putting on programming and raising money, but now it's really making sure the library is a hub for social services. For folks getting disability benefits and dealing with COVID, and folks who are homeless getting connected to services. The model of what a library is has changed, and there's incredible opportunities. It's also a lot of challenges. It's a tough time. The number of folks going to LA libraries has plummeted to about 40% of the pre-COVID numbers.
Wow.
And crime and homelessness and those issues are really top of mind. And we got to do a lot more as a city. And oftentimes it's the community that needs to come in and come up with problem solve. We can't rely on government alone at times. And sadly, right, you chuckle, but it's the reality, right? If you expect government to solve a problem, it won't.
The problem. Yeah, that's what I've always believed, that all of the major problems have to be solved by entrepreneurs, because we are the decisions makers, we are the idea creators. And so if you take some of that energy and allocate it towards solutions to problems, then at the end of the day, politicians do whatever it is that they do, but they want to get credit for things. And so you give them the ability to get credit for things, and you continue doing whatever it is that you do, but you make the world better.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to take the private sector, the nonprofit sector, to really engage on these big issues, whether it's housing, homelessness, mental health, right? The ability to use technology to reach people. There's just this moment. I mean, we feel like some things are spiraling out of control, but we also have the amount of information at our fingertips, the amount of technology, the way we can really be connected. There's a lot of opportunity, right? But can we get people with the resources, people with the brain power to focus on these public good issues right now? We got it, right? We all got to work together on those issues.
I love it. So tell me a little bit more. We're there. What are you focusing on in terms of your legal, in terms of your other entrepreneurial journey, in terms of, I know you ran for city council.
Yeah.
What else?
So I made that decision, kind of wacky decision, to give up my law practice, stop coaching my kids in sports, and devote 2 years of my life to run for office in Los Angeles, trying to make a difference, right?
Yes.
And I came up a little short, but I learned a lot in the process. I wouldn't trade anything for that experience. And but we need more people with a different background than the folks historically in government, who oftentimes are staffers or people from the system, to dig into these issues. And I think my team and I really added to the conversation about ways to solve, why is housing so damn expensive in Los Angeles, right? It's really one of the biggest issues, and it affects economics, affects homelessness and mental health, crime. These are all interrelated, right? So I'm focusing on how to make a difference on these issues from the outside. I mentioned the libraries, which is a perfect example. These are these community hubs that exist. What can we do more? We obviously keep them clean and safe, accessible, but they can also do a lot more to help people and solve social problems as well. You're seeing neighborhoods in Los Angeles, kind of businesses are disappeared post-COVID, during COVID, and they're not coming back, right? So we have to understand why. Sometimes it's something as simple as kind of parking issues, but a lot of it's sometimes homelessness and crime. What could the local community come in and support a small business and bring it back to life, make it more walkable? Do we need bike lanes and trees and community days? There's things that we can do to really prop up neighborhood businesses, because they're the key, right? Because
100%.
If a business goes under, it leads to blight. That block suffers, and oftentimes you see encampments increase too. So, especially when they're small businesses, local communities. When a family decides to start a local Korean barbecue place or dry cleaning place or ice cream shop or whatever it is, they're devoting their resources, their name. They're probably personally guaranteeing the lease. They're making a big commitment. And I think we as a community need to do more to help these businesses, because if they succeed, they're going to give back to the local Little League, to the local church, to local whatever it is, right? So we don't talk enough about really these small businesses. We got to make it easier. So with Betzetic, the nonprofit I mentioned, there's these clinics to help folks understand what it means to start a business, and connect them with folks who will mentor them and help them with their first lease and help them manage the employees, and city inspections, all the things that you mess up on one little issue, it'll destroy a good idea and a good business before it gets off the ground.
Yeah. That's great information. That's one of the things that we've spoken about before, is actually coming up with a solidified plan prior to attempting to take off. Because once you get an entrepreneur with a hair, they're gonna oh, this is what I'm gonna do, and then they run. And so it's good that you guys are providing that service where you're helping them to put the other things outside of whatever their skill set is, to have a fully realized business plan.
Absolutely. Yeah. If your passion is in food, you're probably not have expertise in business or law or real estate, right? All those issues are going to be key when you start your restaurant, right? If you want it to take off. And
absolutely.
So yeah, whatever the community and nonprofits can do to help you, and especially navigating the city issues, I think it's really important.
Okay. Nice. So with you, what's next? You took 2 years off. You ran at the same time as Mr. Caruso, and I thought both of you were going to win. Obviously, that didn't happen. So what's next?
Yeah. So the issues aren't going away in our city. The big challenges. The homeless count numbers came out, went up 10% across the board throughout Los Angeles, despite the record money that we're spending. So I'm going to be a loud voice for some common sense or some changes. Things aren't working, especially on the homelessness front. Too many people are dying, almost 5 every day in Los Angeles, despite the $3 billion we're spending in LA County. I think a lot of us don't feel safe. I'm part of a neighborhoods safety alliance that's helping local neighborhoods figure out how they can keep themselves safer, because police response times are going down. We're down to under 9,000 police officers
for all of LA County?
All of LA City. So for 4 million people, we have 8965. We used to have 10,000 under Mayor Villaraigosa. By comparison, New York City is double the size of LA City population-wise. They almost have 4 times the number of police officers.
Wow.
Double the population, 4 times the officers. And adding more police officers is not the solution always, right? Especially, you want to make sure police officers do their job the right way. But we all feel a little less safe than we did a couple of years ago. And we're seeing the more brazen crime happening at malls and the number of break-ins. So it's engaging on public safety issues and trying to be a liaison with police officers in neighborhoods. And technology, I think, is a big part of this. We've talked about it. We got to be able to connect small businesses and neighborhoods and homeowners and people who live in apartments with technology, right? With cameras and lighting, and there's just, why not do more? The price point for this stuff is way down, and we need some innovators, some innovation. I know you're working on this issue to solve this, because you got to deter crime, and one way to do that is if people feel like they're going to get caught, right? And they're on tape, and they're going to be prosecuted. So.
Yeah, not only the biggest thing, and these are my opinions, is that it's not necessarily being on tape, because that is a reactive solution. A proactive solution is the fact that you've got your camera; those cameras are monitored, and then there's a response.
Right.
Yes, you're right. The police cannot respond, but we're LA, and there's enough people who are forward and who want to make that change for us to have security forces. We have a large number of veterans that are looking for something that feeds them, because guess what? They want to be of service.
Yes.
And so at some point, someone's going to say, hey, we should create something and where we can train these guys who've been out in the front line, who've protected our rights as Americans, and now they can protect these communities.
Brilliant.
And so I know that someone is going to eventually do that, and I look forward to it, because safety is a big deal. I mean, I got 3 kids, and my daughter is very important. Obviously, my wife and sons as well.
Especially your daughter. My 2 little daughters, right, are princesses.
Yes.
But yeah, then we all want the same thing, regardless of what part of Los Angeles you live in, or in this country. You want your kids to be able to ride their bikes safely and go to the park and library and feel safe. And yeah, that's we got to do better on that front. And yeah, innovation, whether it's training and employing veterans, using technology, or just, I mean, there's a lot of data out there. Kind of what types of crimes that are happening. How can we be more proactive and do it in a just, fair way? You obviously don't want to profile folks. You don't want to militarize neighborhoods. Last thing we want is unnecessary kind of conduct by police officers. We also don't want you don't want people to get guns in their neighborhoods. You don't want to see people feeling that they have to be armed, which you're hearing some of that too, which is scary. So there's some challenge here, but I think we're, as a community, we have there's some ideas out there, and you raised a good one about employing and training veterans. Yeah,
for sure. So, as we draw close to the end, tell us what's next for Sam Yebri.
Yeah, so I'm really optimistic about the city, and we probably have some friends who are like, you came here 20 years ago.
20 years ago. I remember what downtown looked like. I remember what Culver City looked like.
Yeah, so as tough as times are, crime was way worse in the 80s and 90s. Remember the Daryl Gates, Rodney King riot years. If you live in LA long enough, you remember things were bad, and so things will get better. Homelessness, as some folks just want to give up on it, we know that it's part housing. We got to build more affordable housing everywhere, but we got to get people who have mental illness and addiction issues the help they need faster. We just can't tolerate that as a society. That if someone falls into homelessness, gets addicted to fentanyl or meth, we're just going to let them live on the streets, right? We can't allow that. So working on those issues on a mental health perspective, on a public safety perspective, on a housing perspective. And we need people to dig in on these issues. So if you have some expertise on any of that, if you're a psychologist who wants to help out and volunteer, your time can make a big difference. If you're in the housing construction industry, look at affordable housing. There's some real opportunities to build housing, make a profit, and house a lot of people. That's what we need right now. We need folks to shift their energies to building affordable housing, and then volunteer in your local neighborhoods, schools and libraries and parks. This all makes a difference. We all got to link arms, as Mayor Bass says. I think that's a nice term, but really, all of us have to do it. Government can't do it alone. Yeah, I love it. Well, Sam, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I love that you are not wanting to be, but you are part of the change. And I look forward to what's next. Appreciate that. Good talking to you, Brian. All right, man. This is fun. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Build to Win. We'll see you next week.